All right, 1 second. All right, welcome everyone. This Q&A. Again, I want to welcome everyone to this Q&A. A bunch of questions here came in. We'll see how far we get. There's a follow-up question which someone asked. Someone asked about health issues, about eating healthy. So someone asked, is it an intentional sin for Jews to continue eating unhealthy things, which can cause health problems? So again, if it's something direct, person eats totally unhealthy, causes health problems because, they have a desire to eat. Someone's diabetic and, they have a hot fudge sundae, or something, and it causes problems. Yeah. So, is it an intentional sin? I mean, I say it's based on desire, like, most things that a person does probably based on desire. So if it's based on desire and it causes health problems, the question is it really direct? Right? If it's something, I would say if it's really direct, someone that, brittle diabetic, they eat a hot fudge sundae and they go into shock or something. Yeah, that would be something like that. But, if they eat unhealthy, and all of a sudden, let's say, after a long time doing it, and it causes health problems, it causes problems. I would say that's indirect. That's not something direct. The bottom line is, yeah, we should eat healthy. We should eat more healthy, let's say. Okay, but if a person doesn't eat healthy, what's the difference between this and any other sin they do? Because again, eating unhealthy doesn't mean you're going to die. Eating unhealthy for a long time, not taking care of your body, yeah, okay, it's going to cause problems. Overall to cause problems. True. Right? So, I don't think anyone is eating unhealthy, and they're doing it intentionally to get sick. Obviously not. But if there's a direct result, there are two types of sins, right? There's a sin, or a few types of sins. Let's just speak it out a little bit. There's a sin a person does on purpose. Yeah. Person steals, right? Intentional. Does it intentional. One type of sin. Another type of sin they do by accident. By accident, what means they weren't paying attention. Yeah, they weren't paying attention on Shabbos, leaned up against the wall, there's a light switch, turned it on. But if a person did something by accident, but really it leads to something like it's done on purpose, meaning that they were careless. Not just you leaned up against the wall on Shabbos and there was a light switch there. Like being careless means, let's say you took a ball, you throw it at the light switch to see if it go on and off. So you'll say, but you did it by accident. Yeah, but that's leading to something that's like on purpose. So that's another aspect. There's another aspect of sin, and that is onus. Onus means you're not in control. It's out of your control. Right? Something happens where something happens where you didn't control it. It was totally out of your control. Right? Something that you could not have foreseen. Right? Let's just say it like this. Right? You could not have foreseen it. Impossible. And something happened that, again, that's what it means. That's what beyond your control, that's what beyond your control means. right? So therefore, what? There's another aspect, under onus. So then the question is, what's the end result? Did a person do something where they got their end result that they wanted? Right? There are all kinds of questions where, let's say, a person had intention to injure a person, they injure an animal. Yeah, they didn't do what they set out to do, but they injured somebody. Yeah, at the end of the day, they say, but mitzvahs don't need intention. Now, this is a different case. Here, someone had specific intention, to hurt an animal, or let's say to hurt a person, even better. They want to slug somebody, they miss the person, whatever the case is, they injure an animal. Are they liable? So intention also plays a role over here. So the question here is it an intentional sin for a Jew to continue to eat unhealthy things? So it depends how far it goes. Person ate, they have ice cream once a week. They have candy, twice a week. They have other things that are unhealthy during the week, as well. Is each individual thing called an intentional sin? Hard to say. All right, I wouldn't necessarily say that. Person wants to have popcorn, ice cream, other things. You eat it all at once, yeah, you'll get sick. You eat too much. But what happens over time? Over time, it's unhealthy on the body. Problem is something indirect. It's something indirect. If it's indirect, okay, we should eat healthier, true. But if it's indirect, what would I say? Liable. So the example we gave is if a person ate a brittle diabetic, ate a hot fudge sundae, put them in the shock. That's a different issue, right? A common case comes up, and it should never happen to anyone. But a common case is, let's say someone's in hospice. Why does the person go to hospice? To die, right? Essentially to die. Now, let's say someone has cancer. So they put them in hospice because they know they're going to die, or whatever, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. So they barely give them enough nutrients to live. They don't starve them. I mean, if they starve them or didn't give them, enough nutrients, they die. Right? That's murder. That is murder. But what if they give them barely enough to live? If they give them barely enough to live, what's secondary cause of cancer that a person dies from? Pneumonia. Secondary cause. But you'll say, come on, the fact that they're not feeding that much, they're not drinking that much, they don't get enough nutrients. So the body's very weak, the body can't fight off infection. True? Very, very true. So, so the doctors know how much to give. If they starve them to death, they talk about. I mean, they probably do that also, right, to a certain extent. But let's say they give them enough to live, barely, and they die of a secondary cause. That secondary cause, are they liable? They liable? Is that murder? Nope. Not murder. Why not? Indirect. That's indirect. So therefore, if I have something that's indirect, you're not liable. Now, could it be it's not a good thing in this case to eat unhealthy? Sure. People will tell you, you keep the body running strong, you get a better chance of longer life. That mean I can never eat unhealthy? No. Doesn't mean that at all. Some people do more, some people less. You have to exercise. Okay. How many people do everything they're supposed to do? Yeah, but again, this isn't direct. But if it's if it's years and years of abuse of food, and it caused the person to have clogged arteries, and all that, yeah. Or a person has a weight problem. Forget about eating unhealthy. They have a weight problem. A lot of people, certainly in the States, I mean, tens of thousands, are obese. Why are they obese? Because they eat whatever they want. They don't exercise. They eat way too much. So what happens? You become obese. Right? That's what happens. Yeah. So someone who's obese, that's definitely shortening your life. Right? If you don't take care of yourself. Doing things that are, let's say stronger. Smoking cigarettes, everyone knows unhealthy. Totally unhealthy will take years out of your life. So that's different. right? That's direct. That is, you only took one puff. Okay. Yeah. When a person smokes, everyone knows. Everyone knows that it's going to cut your life short. Depending, how much you smoke and everything else. Could God give you, grant you a long life? A person smokes? Sure. Is it probable? Probably not. What are the odds? Person does unhealthy things to the body. The odds are that a person will get sick. They'll get sick quicker. They'll die younger, potentially, but not necessarily. They were not necessarily. A story, someone, macrobiotic, ate very healthy, exercised like no tomorrow, and they died in their early 60s of cancer. So is that a guarantee? No. Definitely not a guarantee, but guess what? You got to keep the body strong. You got to keep the body fit. You do what you can. Right? That mean I always have to eat bran and wheat and things, and seaweed, stuff that's, so healthy that makes you sick because you don't like the taste? No. But you want to keep the body strong. A person can indulge if they want. But if they know it's going to cause them negative effect, right? It's gonna cause damage. Yes, that's a problem. That's a problem. And let's say person for years of neglect, their body, and all of a sudden they drop dead of a heart attack. Yeah. What caused the heart attack? Everybody knows what caused the heart attack. Person, was overweight, didn't take care of themselves. That's what happened. That's what happens. So I think it's still the first major cause of death in America. Yeah, it's heart attacks. Yeah. So again, you'll tell me, well, that was built up over time. Okay. No one says you're going to eat, an unhealthy steak with all this fat and cholesterol, whatever, and then a person's going to drop dead after having one. No, not at all. You eat things unhealthy on a regular basis, sure. Over time is going to cause damage, right? So the question is it intentional for Jews to continue eating unhealthy? Depends how it affects the person. If you're doing it over time, sure. Right? Do I have to eat 100% healthy all the time? No. And if I did, okay. But if a person continues to do it, right, that's a different issue. And if a person's overweight, that's a different issue. Person has other health issues. There are things that are more direct. Smoking, more direct. Alcohol abuse, more direct. That cause damage. There are plenty of things. I mean, now, there in Israel, they'll on packages they'll tell you how much sugar's in it, how many spoonfuls of sugar, what you're eating. Because there's, they want to make sure people, people try and take care of themselves. They know what they're eating, right? They wanted to get rid of all, certain soft drinks and certain, other things to get, because it's a problem. This is with the best rabbinical supervision, this stuff. Yeah, they're not, we're not talking about things that, that the rabbinical supervision on it is, is not so good. Right? We're talking about even stuff that has the greatest, has the best rabbinic supervision could be totally unhealthy. No question. So, so I think a person, should be more careful when they get older for sure. They should be more careful. But again, is it direct? No. If over time a person develops certain conditions, yeah, then that's a different issue. Then if they're doing unhealthy things, yeah, so that's more direct. But even so, keep in mind one thing, and this I'm sure people are not aware of, and that is if you do something on purpose. Why are you doing it on purpose? Every sin, the bottom line is it's a rebellion against God. There's no question. You're not doing what God wants. Why'd the person do it? Why'd the person do it in general? For most people today that don't know anything about Judaism, that grew up as a potato farmer in Idaho, no offense, anyone who grew up as a potato farmer, anyone who's a potato farmer grew up in Idaho, bottom line is people know nothing. They know absolutely zero. So why are they doing what they're doing? Desire. Isn't it a rebellion against God? I spoke about this last week about Tinok Shanishbu. Isn't that a rebellion against God? Sure. 100% a rebellion against God. And it doesn't mean they get off scot-free either. I don't want someone ramming that down my throat and say, oh, see, he says Tinok Shanishbu, right? Someone's been captured by the non-Jews. And someone's going to say, oh, look, he said they get away with everything. No, they don't get away with everything. There are things they'll get away with. that it's like a slap on the wrist, like doing things by accident. Okay. Other things that are more severe, let's say intermarriage, homosexuality, different things, they don't get a free pass just because they don't know anything. They don't get a free pass for that. And there are different levels. I spoke about it last week. I don't want to get into it, but there are different levels. Different levels for such a thing. So most people today, why they do what they do? Desire. Their desire. Someone asks, aren't all sins we make cause diseases and pain? Sure. Everything corresponds to our insides. When we're not doing what we're supposed to do, makes our insides unhealthy. Can make, there are different things that correspond to different limbs, the kidneys, the heart, the liver, different things. It's true. That's very true. But at the end of the day, let's say, God forbid, someone gets cancer. Someone has an inoperable brain tumor. So we can always say, well, they must have done something wrong with their brain. They must have done something wrong with their limbs. Yeah. We don't, cancer is something we don't know where it comes from. We have no idea where it comes from, and everyone's afraid they don't want to get it. Right, which makes sense. Totally makes sense. But 100% that any sickness, any physical sickness is caused by spiritual sickness. Right? That's true. We just can't necessarily pinpoint it. I would say that, everything's measured for measure. So if a person, injured their hand, injured their leg, hip, back, whatever it is, it must be they did something bad. They sinned with, those parts of the body. What did they do? How did they do it? Don't know. That I can't answer. But they must have done something. Because that's measure for measure. But it's true. If we're spiritually sick, that can cause physical ailment. Right? Where do you see that no better than what? Than saras. Whenever saras is, what was saras caused by? Ashanara. So this was a spiritual disease, manifests itself in a physical way. So you had to be thrown out of all the camps. All the camps by the Mishkan, by the temple. What's the only way they could come back? Cohen had to go and check them, make sure they have no spots. So what's the only way they could come back? Tshuva. That's it. Right? That, they can take creams, they can take baths, they can do acupuncture, they can do a million things. They can do a million things to try and get rid of it. Guess what? So all the commentaries say there's no possible way that that'll ever go away. Right? There's no possible way, let's say better, that saras will ever go away unless a person fully repents. In other words, if a person doesn't fully repent, no cream, no acupuncture, nothing. Right? No holistic medicine, zero. Nothing's going to cure the person. The only thing that's going to cure the person is repentance. Right? So very true. Right? Sins that we do can make us physically sick. Now, we don't want to say how, know how it works, how everything corresponds. I mean, there are people that know this, very well, what corresponds to what and how to, try and heal it. Okay. There are people out there who know these type of things, but that, that's very true. So that was one question. Another question came in, interesting question. And that is koshering and pesticides, right? Other things in food that are unhealthy. Are they a sin? How do you deal with this? And what should be our primary focus? So you got to keep in mind, Torah says in Leviticus chapter 11, spoke a lot about this in a class on the book of Leviticus chapter, whatever, in the book of Leviticus. Right, it's whatever. Many videos spoke about eating creepy crawly things and all that and how it affects us. Right, so there are a lot of bugs, a lot of insects. A bowl of salad may look very, very kosher, but could have a lot of non-kosher ingredients, i.e. bugs. Yeah, have more prohibitions, 5, 6 prohibitions by eating a bug, worse than eating a cheeseburger or even eating pig. Right, most people not aware. Right, a person eats a bug could be 5 or 6 prohibitions. Right, in one shot. So Moshe Feinstein, the blessed memory, states not necessarily mandatory check vegetables for bugs, What was he talking about? What was the case? Today's not the case because, there are world experts in, in bug checking that say for sure, there are things you have to check. He was talking about a case when DDT, i.e. a strong pesticide, was used on most crops. So what did it do? What was the purpose of this pesticide? Eliminate vast majority of insects from vegetables. Okay. Yeah. So now, even so, insects, didn't kill them off. Keep coming back, right? So to speak. So you can find, a lot of insects just in one head of lettuce. A friend of mine once told me, someone said, oh, come on, fresh head of lettuce. What? There are bugs in it. So person had a fresh head of lettuce. Person opened it from the bottom, right? Put it down, got the core out, open it up. It's like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Anyone knows what I'm talking about? It's whatever, the bug festival there. Person said, oh, must have been an old thing, whatever. If you don't check, you don't check. Most people definitely guilty of eating bugs. I don't think there's any question if you don't check. Right? So, you have an insect very small, it could be nulled, it could be bottled in a large volume. If you have a large volume of permissible foods, could be totally nullified. Or let's say it could get ground up. If we got ground up, then you don't have an issue at all. Even if it's ground up because you probably have enough against it, you'd be allowed to eat it, right? So you gotta say, oh, that's gross. Why, but again, let's say you didn't know it was in there. Let's say by falafel it can happen. Grind up these chickpeas and all that. Let's say a bug got in. Let's say, right? We're not going to get gross there. Let's say a bug got in, totally ground up. Yeah, could I eat it? I could eat it. Totally ground up. If there's one whole insect in there, even if it's tiny, 5 or 6 prohibition. Right? So the question is, first of all, you do have to check. Right? You have to know what you're checking for and which things are more infested and less infected, but you still have to know, how to check. But there is a question. There is a question of pesticides in general. Pesticides, go on a lot of fruits. So you have also, let's say there are these shiny apples have a certain, and not just pesticide, they have certain like shellac on it. So those need to be peeled. Because that comes from non-kosher things. But pesticides, most rabbinic authorities would tell you 100%, you get fruits and vegetables, you wash them. Right? Then certain thing, you wash them with soap, whatever. You wash them because if there's any pesticide there, it'll get nullified by the soap, and then you wash off the soap. So then you don't have any issues. So the question was, pesticides a lot of times are on fruits and vegetables, right? So, some of them may be non-kosher, could be, right? Could be. I don't think that's the case, but most rabbinic authorities would tell you it's definitely better just for health reasons, which I think are obvious. Wash them. You should wash them before you eat them, right? There's wash with dishwashing soap or a different type of soap, whatever it is, right? You wash it and you get rid of it. Somebody mentioned you go do it with vinegar, okay? Whatever it is, that you get rid of the chemicals. The chemicals may not be a kashrus issue per se. Yeah, unhealthy for sure. But it's probably not a kashrus issue in many ways. Nonetheless, you wash them off. Even if it would be an issue, you wash it off and that's it. Right? You don't have to do more than that. Right? So then the question is, okay, they're unhealthy to eat. Is that a sin? So again, what's the purpose of a pesticide? Purpose of a pesticide is to keep what's it called? Keep insects off of fruit. Because insects come and destroy it. Right? So you put pesticide, it's a repellent. So they don't do it. Now, so what are people going to do? I mean, some people are lazy. They'll just eat it without washing it. Okay. That mean they ate treif? No. I mean, most people say you should just wash it. Okay. Now, is it unhealthy to eat with pesticides on it? Yeah, it is. I think it's pretty clear. I don't think anyone disagrees. Yeah, I don't think anyone disagrees. Pesticides are not healthy. Yeah, that mean I ate treif? No. But if you eat them, is it a sin? If it's not a problem with kashrus, it's just an unhealthy thing, right? That's why most people in general, for health reasons, they will wash fruits and vegetables. That's what they'll do. So you don't have that issue. And if a person ate without washing it, not necessarily a kashrus issue, right? Could be by some things, maybe. Maybe it's a kashrus issue by some things. Most things will not be a kashrus issue. Will not be a kashrus issue. It's a health issue. It's a health issue. Somebody mentions you use Coke, substitute for pesticides if you have vegetables in your own home. Okay. But still, if you eat it and it's unhealthy, okay. So now you're back to the original question. If you eat things that are unhealthy, is it a sin? So it depends. It depends. Some people will say, I always wash vegetables. I always wash fruit for health reasons. Okay. And if a person did it, you're going to say what they're uncouth. They're, my language, they're like, they're a grub that's disgusting. Some people would say it. Some people would say it. But what's the issue here? What are we worried about? Kashrus issue. That would be the issue if you don't have a kashrus issue. Right? So now you say, okay, it's gross to eat it if there's pesticides on it. Okay. You didn't wash it off. Okay. So I would say you're a grub. Right? But people are lazy. People don't necessarily take the time to do it. I didn't take a survey. I didn't check it online. What most people do. Well, I would assume there are people that are lazy. They don't. They take a peach, a plum, whatever. They're hungry. They just eat it. I don't care. Pesticide, not pesticide. They eat it without washing it. So you say it's unhealthy. Okay. Is it going to cause them to be sick? I don't know. I don't think so. If these things, if it was more direct, the person might get sick as a dog if they didn't wash the stuff off. Then I would hear a stronger question. That, every time you have to wash, otherwise you get sick and it's unhealthy. Fine. There's another question, more subtle question, right? And that is, how do you deal with this? So how do we look at it? So what about the people putting in pesticides? What about the farmers putting in pesticides? Why are they doing it? They doing it to kill people? No. It's for money. To say, why do I say for money? Because they don't want insects coming eating the crops. That's why they do it. It's pretty simple. Yeah. So they're not doing it to kill people. They're definitely not doing it to kill people. I mean, they put a lot of things in processed foods that, they make it addictive and, totally unhealthy in different ways, as well. What's their goal? Sell products to make money. They're putting things in there that are addictive, that you can't just eat one, whatever it is, like a plastic pickle. Everyone remembers the commercial. Potato chips. They put certain chemicals in. Totally unhealthy. Totally unhealthy. Yeah, why they put these chemicals in? It's not to preserve it, it's to make you want more. To desire more. It's about money. Yeah, isn't that wrong? That for sure is wrong. Right? They can say that's business. What people do, they don't care if people live or die. They want people to eat their products. You think, the tobacco companies were ecstatic, to pay, billions of dollars years ago because they put nicotine in and made it addictive. They knew that. They knew that 100%. They knew they were making billions. Not just mention commercials, other things. They were making billions. Why are they how are they making billions? Because it's addictive. I mean, not to mention unhealthy, but it's addictive. So they put this addictive thing in. And it, now your body craves it. It's like your body can't do without it. When your body can't do without it, and then it causes damage to the body, right? Because then a person smokes or whatever, they're for sure liable. 100% they're liable, right? They're doing it knowing full well what the ramifications are. That's why they had to pay such a high fine. For exactly that. To get tens of thousands, millions of people, addicted to cigarettes, very hard habit to stop. Very, very hard habit to stop. Because you got something in there that's now in your system. And now it's in your system. You want it more. You 100% want it more. It's hard to get off. I don't think there's any question. That's one of the hardest things to stop. So yeah, so that's bad. That's, that's forbidden, right? Who says they're allowed to do that? Not to mention what the ramifications are, and how it kills people, right? People can say, chemicals they put in foods and processed foods is just as bad. Yeah, maybe. I don't think, it has the same side effects that, smoking does, right? It might be a similar thing. They put stuff in there that's addictive that, you just want more of it, right? But I don't think the end result is worse. Smoking is sometimes worse, right? That's for sure. So then the question is, okay, what should be our primary focus? So you got to eat. Everyone has to eat. If you don't eat, you'll die, right? That is simple. That's a simple way of looking at it. You have to eat, you have to drink, you have to keep the body going. Okay. Now, when you're eating, if a person's keeping kosher, people say, yeah, I want to eat kosher meat, it's cleaner meat and, it's better quality and this and that. Keep in mind, anything that's kosher, anything that's kosher, even with the best rabbinical supervision, it can be totally unhealthy for you. Totally unhealthy. Cakes, candy, high in saturated fat, other things can be totally unhealthy. No question. But can have the greatest supervision, rabbinic supervision. Okay. So I would say, is it better to keep the body running smooth and healthy? Yes. Is a person allowed to eat unhealthy things? Yes. Moderation, someone here points out, right? You eat it in moderation. You don't overindulge. Maybe once in a while a person overindulged. Okay. You don't make a habit of it. Yeah, but when it comes to fruits and vegetables, first of all, they have to be checked for bugs, no question. They should be washed. Right? Very simple. It should be washed. Washed against pesticides. Yeah. 100%. Does that mean a person ate pesticide and they just ate trave? No. Well, again, I wouldn't go that far by most things. At the same time, a lot of people, what they do is they peel everything. Why they peel everything? They don't have this issue. They don't have this issue at all. So we should eat healthy. We should exercise regularly, etc. Keep the body going strong. These other things, wash fruits and vegetables, then you're not a problem with pesticides. And that's it. I don't think we should be overly concerned, because these things themselves, are not directly going to kill people. If you tell me pesticide, a person eats all these fruits and vegetables, they never clean them, these pesticides, cause them heart attacks and that, then I would say, but, they don't cause that kind of damage, usually. So, let's say on Shabbos or festival, right? Someone asks, Shabbos and a festival, do we eat more than we normally do? Yes. Do we eat unhealthy foods? Probably. People eating like the healthiest foods on Shabbos? I don't think so. Definitely don't think so. Right? It's okay. Shabbos, you're allowed to indulge. You're allowed to indulge. You're not doing that every day. Right? On festive meals, when you eat better and you have more fancier foods and this and that in honor of the festival. Okay? Everything, as someone here says, everything in moderation. But on those days, there's a mitzvah to eat more. There's a mitzvah to eat better in honor of the holy day. Sure, right? That's no question. Someone has vitamins. The vitamins need to be kosher. Yes, they should be. They definitely should be, because there are things that could be added there you don't know. So it should be under rabbinic supervision. Further, like, come on, it's only vitamin C. Yeah, that's what they're telling you. Could be other things in there. Other things, coating, whatever, so to speak. Person buys, give an example. Person buys, what do you call it? Let's say cold caps. Right? They have a cold, they take, what do you call it? Sudafed, Sinufed, whatever, wherever you are, whatever they call it. And sometimes you take a gel cap, it's got gelatin in it. So it's never action. It's never rabbinic supervision. Gelatin's a problem. Why is gelatin a problem? Because it comes from a non-kosher animal. Yeah, if it's got rabbinic supervision, it comes from a kosher animal. But if it has no rabbinic supervision, the assumption is from a non-kosher animal. So there are ways around it. One way around it is take a little piece of tissue. Little piece of tissue, cover the capsule, and you swallow it. That way you don't get the benefit of the capsule. That's one way around it. Or you buy it in a tablet form. Or you get it that it has that you don't have this issue. That's not a gel cap, right? That would take you out of the problem. But if you had a gel cap, right, that's how you would take it. Put it a little, have a tissue, small amount of tissue, cover it. Tissue's not going to hurt a person, right? Swallow the gel cap with the tissue. That takes care of the problem. That would take care of the problem. Someone asked, ever since I started reading Tanakh, I don't want to eat non-clean animals. I eat non-kosher animals. So there's Kli Yakar in Leviticus chapter 10, chapter 11. Speaks about the kosher animals, non-kosher animals. And he mentioned by a non-Jew, we understand if a Jew eats non-kosher animals, what does it do? What does it do? It causes it's unhealthy for them, because you can take on some of the characteristics of that, of that animal. We don't eat, predatory animals, different things. We are what we eat, according to some opinion. That's why we don't eat them. One possible reason. So the Kli Yakar says, what about a non-Jew? What about a non-Jew? So Kli Yakar says, does not affect them, same way. Why? If Kli Yakar says, you see, non-Jews eat all kinds of things, all kinds of creepy, crawly things, who knows what. It doesn't affect them in a negative way. So he says, if that's the case, a non-Jew is going to keep whatever they need to keep if there's a benefit. If there's a benefit for them. In the case of eating something non-kosher, no benefit, doesn't affect them. Right? By a Jew, it makes them dull-hearted. Makes them apathetic, in my language. Right? Causes a Jew, if they eat this garbage, it causes them to be apathetic, not want to have any connection to Torah mitzvahs. Kli Yakar does not affect the non-Jew that way at all. So Kli Yakar says, if that's true, why would a non-Jew want to do it? Because they say, come on, clean animals, it's that, but it doesn't affect you. It's like a placebo. It's like having a placebo. Does a placebo do anything? Well, your mind might convince you. But the reality is, what's in a placebo? Nothing. Right? Doesn't do anything. Oh, I feel so much better. No, it's in your mind. Nothing happened. You took a placebo. Yeah. It'll be unpopular to say, because non-Jews are going to say, I want to eat clean animals. I want to, whatever. Doesn't affect them. It does not affect them. Can they? Not saying they can't. They want to eat kosher meat. Let them eat kosher meat. Yeah. Does it affect Does non-kosher affect the non-Jew like it does the Jew? Absolutely not. Doesn't. That's what the commentaries tell us. It doesn't. Right? So the Kuyakar says, and again, we can answer this up, but Kuyakar says if that's true, that doesn't affect them, then why would they do it? Because the non-Jew is only going to do something that benefits them. And if it doesn't benefit them, they're not going to do it, period. They're not going to do it. So, if a person only wants to eat kosher meat, and kosher fish, can they? They can. Right? I'm not going to say there's an issue with it. If they want to, I'm just saying it doesn't affect them the same way. So if it doesn't affect them the same way, they can eat whatever they want. Definitely can eat whatever they want. Not an issue. Somebody mentions doctors used to be spokesmen and advertise cigarette companies. Yeah, also true. Also, it's kind of funny to think about it. So they finally had to put a Surgeon General's warning that it's unhealthy. But yeah, it's kind of ironic. There's a story. My Rebbe heard this doctor gave a whole thing for like an hour. You're talking like 70 years ago, more. Talking about how unhealthy cigarettes are. Years ago, before anyone came out against it. Yeah. And so 10 minutes after he spoke, he lit up a cigarette. So Rebbe asked him, I don't understand. You just spoke for an hour telling us all the dangers. You told us all the dangers of cigarette smoking. How can you smoke a cigarette? He said, don't you know it's going to cut off years of your life? He said, yeah, I'd rather lose years of my life than lose this. Then, it's too enjoyable. It's too enjoyable. I know it's going to cut off years of my life. Okay. I'm willing to do that. Yeah, okay. It's like playing suicide, playing Russian roulette. It's going to affect you in a negative way, but I won't do it anyway. Okay. The person's choice. What if it's plant-based vitamins? Again, can't go by ingredients. That's one thing I want people to understand. You can never go by what the ingredients are. Because there's a certain percentage, a small percentage, but there's a certain percentage they don't have to tell you what's in it. They'll say 2% other. What's that other? Could be anti. M&Ms. Famous M&Ms. You know why they weren't kosher? I mean, they eventually became kosher, but you know why they weren't kosher? Because it was a red dye. The red M&M. There was a red dye that they used to make it red. Where did the red dye come from? Everybody guess? Yeah, a red ant. That's where it came from. You don't want to know what's in food. You know what's in processed food, you never eat it. We never eat anything, for that matter. So, let's make clear. Ingredients are not the end all what's in a product. Not the end all. In other words, you got to check. Right? You got, if it's got rabbinic supervision, fine. If it doesn't, that's the whole thing with Passover. There are a lot of things in there, chametz, that, people don't know about. Vitamins being one of them. So there's stuff in vitamins. Yeah. It's like anything else. They don't tell you 100% what's in it. Even if on the bottle it says 100% pure vitamin C, they can put other things in it. They don't have to tell you everything. They, according to the FDA in America, they can say 2% is whatever. I forget the percent. I think it's 2%. 2%. They can say it's, they don't have to tell you what it is. So if they don't tell you what it is, what do? You can say, what can they possibly put in it? That's not for you to judge. You're not a chemist. Yeah, and in rabbinic organizations for kashrus, a lot of people they have in staff are chemists that, that break down all these things and know exactly what it is. It's good, it's not good, maybe, whatever. This is complex, not for the average consumer. The average consumer has no idea when they look at the ingredients what they're looking at, in general. But has to have rabbinic supervision. Yeah, there's plenty of vitamins on the market that have rabbinic supervision. Would I say that's have the best rabbinic supervision? Not necessarily. Should have good rabbinic supervision. But if you got to go top of the line, you go top of the line for everything. Not just not just when it comes to meat or anything processed. Even even how many chemicals and things go into processed food. They have to break down each thing. If it's kosher, it's not kosher. It's a whole process. It's a whole complicated process. It's not for the average consumer. So therefore what? Therefore, even to say it's plant-based and it's this and that, should have rabbinic supervision. Definitely should have rabbinic supervision. There's certain aspirin, certain aspirin that's like trace. So you got to be careful because you don't necessarily pay attention and say, oh, it's this, it's that, it's fine. Not necessarily. That's why thank God that you have all these different websites, conscious organizations, to see what's certified, what's problematic, different things. That's what you're paying them for. That's what you're paying to something, as a kosher symbol on it. That's what you're paying for. They're telling you they checked it out. They went through all the chemicals, they saw the process, they went through everything, and they're telling you it's okay. There's nothing forbidden in it. That's what they're telling you. It's you're relying on them, which is okay. You're allowed to rely on them. Spices have to be kosher, yes. They also have to be kosher. They don't have to be kosher. There could be a problem with bugs also. You have to check them also. But yeah, 100%. One of the things I give one of my in the kashrus classes about, can a person go to a vegetarian restaurant, and eat and have a salad? What's the problem with salad in general? Bugs. That's the main problem. What's the other problem? Knives. Knives that aren't kosher. Let's say they cut an onion. Let's say that that onion is sharp. So it revitalizes that knife, whatever was on that knife before. And if that knife isn't kosher, it was used for something else. It used to cut meat. So now you're eating trays. You're gonna say, but it's an onion. There's no meat in there. It doesn't matter if there's no meat in there. You don't know what goes on. You don't want to know what goes on behind the scenes. People be cutting sandwiches with this stuff. Even if they wash it off, doesn't matter. Yeah. They use that knife now to cut a piece, to cut an onion, you're in trouble. Then it makes everything you eat non-kosher. Forget about the dressings and other things. So you got an issue. You got a number of issues. With that. So that you gotta be careful. It does not hurt. Better to be careful. Certainly what goes in your mouth, certainly what comes out of your mouth. When it comes to lashon hara as well. But people should be super stringent when it comes to kashrus. These are things you don't want to mess with. Certainly as a Jew. Non-Jew doesn't apply, but certainly for a Jew, you want to be careful because it can have a disastrous effect. Totally disastrous effect. Even if you think it doesn't matter, it's not going to affect me. Okay, the Gemara knows better than you. The Gemara says clear, it's going to make you apathetic to Torah mitzvahs. If someone's becoming religious, what's the first thing you tell them to do? Start eating kosher, start keeping Shabbos. Kashrus, why? To get all this garbage out of your system so you can hear words of Torah. Shabbos in order that you should understand God runs the world, God's in charge. Not to mention all the other prohibitions, Torah prohibitions, rabbinic prohibitions, etc. But those are two crucial things. Certainly someone starting the process. As a Jew. Non-Jew, okay, you start a little bit here, a little bit there. Whatever it is. But certainly by a Jew. That's clear. It's clear because you have to clean out you have to clean out your system. That's why for most secular Jews, why do most secular Jews in general, they can't hear anything about Torah mitzvahs. It's too much in their face. Why? Why? Because they want to do it. They want to do whatever they want to do. They want to eat what they want. They want to do what they want. They don't be told what to do. Okay. But at the end of the day, someone will say it's all about desire, which we said, yes, it's all about desire. But why don't they want to hear anything? Why are they so apathetic? Because this is what it does. Eating this garbage, that's what causes. So therefore, sometimes for people, you need like a nuclear bomb to go off over their heads for them to hear anything about Torah mitzvahs. Why are some people like so anti and so strong against? So you say because of experience, what they saw, all kinds of things. But there are a few bottom lines here. One is that people do not want to be told what to do. They don't want to be inconvenienced. That's the word. They don't want to be inconvenienced. Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing. The second thing is that because of all this stuff, all this bad stuff that goes into their system, the Gemara says it causes them to be apathetic. Someone who's apathetic doesn't want to have any connection to Torah mitzvahs. Why? Why is it so strong? This is the reason. Because the garbage goes in the system. The garbage will go in the system. Someone asks, let me see 1 second. Somebody asked about Bilam and Balak, right? What can we learn? I'll tell you one quick thing. Bilam, you see, God spoke to him, and he was evil. All he wanted to do was curse the Jewish people. Yeah. So one thing, and I have a video of this on my YouTube channel, on Orthodox conversion in Judaism, and that is that having prophecy. Having prophecy can have no effect on a person. In other words, the person can speak to God himself, understand he's speaking to God, understand his prophecy. It doesn't change them. Totally doesn't change them. Yeah, that's one mind-boggling idea. Prophecy doesn't change a person. You see, God came to Achav, and God wants him to do tshuva. So God says, you, me, and Ben Yishai, son of Jesse, i.e. King David, we're going to stroll in paradise, the Gemara says. So what does Achav say? Who goes first? Imagine, you get to stroll with God and King David in paradise. So Achav asks who goes first. God says, Ben Yishai says, nope, not interested. King David goes first, I'm not interested. You have an opportunity to be with God himself and King David and take a walk. You're going to ask who goes first? Mind-boggling idea. Means the person can be so rotten to the core, even if God comes to them and speaks to them, it doesn't help. That's what you can learn. Yeah. Right. But the non-Jews could have a claim. They say, wait, they claimed if you gave us a prophet like Moses, we would be different. Maybe we'd be the chosen people, this and that. So what do they complain? You gave us Bilam. You gave us Bilam over here. What do you want from us? Yeah, you gave us some chump as a prophet. Would you give us someone better now? They could have that claim. They could easily have had that claim. But again, prophecy doesn't make someone righteous. Definitely doesn't do that. There's an interesting question. I spoke about this before also. That Balak wants Bilam curse the Jewish people. That's what he wants. Now, Bilam a number of times says, God put the words in my mouth. What can I do? This, that. Why didn't Balak say, bless me? Not my question. Other great people have asked the question. Why did he say, bless me? If he's blessed, isn't he going to have power over the Jewish people? If he had that power, he really had that power. So what's the simple answer? I mean, it's a complex thing, but I'll just say, very simply, the fact is that Balak hated the Jewish people so much, he didn't want the blessing. He'd rather curse them. You hear the difference? There's a big difference. The fact that he could be someone to be blessed. So if he's blessed, he's got the upper hand maybe in different ways. And he could have his way with the Jewish people if God wanted. It's not what he wanted. He wasn't interested in the blessing, mind-boggling. Not interested in the blessing. What did he want? He wanted to curse out the Jewish people. So it talks about him. Says a lot about him. Says a lot about Bill. Yeah, one other question came in, or actually, so one question came in. We'll deal with this. It says big news everywhere. There's an idea of an alpha male, alpha beta male, alpha beta female. Yeah, means men can have multiple wives. Women should just be obedient. Yeah, so a person asks, I never agreed with a lot of the stuff. Can I give a Jewish perspective on these trends? And what men are here for and what proper man and woman look like? So we do know biblical law, according to the Torah, allows a man to be married to more than one wife simultaneously, right? Provided that what? The wives are not sisters, not forbidden relationship. But you look at Jewish history, clearly it was better to only have one wife. You know, there were exceptions. You had Abraham, you had Jacob, you had King David, King Solomon. Yeah, you look at them, okay, they were exceptions. Well, let's analyze. Abraham never wanted to take a second wife, but why did he do it? Because he couldn't have kids. Sarah couldn't have kids. So Sarah herself suggested, right, Genesis chapter 16, verse 2. Sarah suggested that. Yeah, Jacob didn't want two wives either. But he got tricked. He got tricked. Wrong bride, Leah. Right? And really, he's supposed to marry Rachel. Genesis chapter 29. King David, King Solomon married many wives. Why? Political reasons. A lot of political reasons. Yeah. So comes on Rabbeinu Gershom in the 10th century in Germany, made a ban forbidding it. So it was for Ashkenazi Jews. That was pretty much, not allowed by most Sephardic Jews today anyway. It's enforced more than 1,000 years. Today, it's over. That edict is done, but we still hold by it. But in any case, when you look at polygamy, according to the Bible, it's been a disaster. 100% it's been a disaster. Yeah. Abraham has, is with Hagar. Who does he have? Ishmael. Yeah, we're gonna, we're paying the price for that, until the Messiah comes. Right? So you got Jacob marrying two wives. Rachel dies early, and the whole mess that ensued. Even though he saw that he was supposed to be married to Leah anyway. Okay. But you have even better example, King David, King Solomon, seemingly problematic having so many wives. Right, without going into all that. So even though there were exceptions, when you look at the exceptions, it wasn't a good thing. It definitely wasn't a good thing. So today, first of all, it goes against the law of the land, that's for sure. Right? That you can't marry more than one wife in general. Take out the Mormons for a second, but in general, where it would be hard anyway, just placate everybody. So we don't do it. We hold by this edict of Rabbeinu Gershom, and it's not done. Right? It's totally not done today. So we hold, as God says, man should not be alone. Right? He needs an Ezer Kenegdo, the Torah says. Someone opposite him. Doesn't mean a yes person. Doesn't mean just do whatever the man says. That's a slave. Women are not slaves. Men have to take what their wives say, seriously. You can't look at them as just an object because they're 2 weeks out of the month, that they can't be together physically. Right? So it's not just a woman should be obedient. That has no place in Judaism. Women, many ways, on a higher level than men. That's why they're not bound by mitzvahs that are bound by time. Right? Many mitzvahs that are bound by time they don't do. They don't have to do. Some of them they can do for sure. Right? But many of them they don't do because they're not bound by time. Because they have, they have higher perspectives on different things, that they do. Right? So the trend is that we're called incomplete when we don't have our other half of the soul. Right? You need a complete soul. So men have to, go after that other half of the soul, so to speak. Find that other half. It's a completion. A person, and this is kind of hard also, the Gemara says a man has to love his wife more than himself. What's the problem with that statement? Nobody loves anybody more than themselves. I haven't met anyone who loves anyone more than themselves. But that's what the Gemara says. You have to treat your wife better than you would yourself. Certain things you wouldn't do for your wife, you would do. Right? You have obligations. Right? Clothing, a house, conjugal rights, different things. Right? But again, there are obligations. There are obligations what we have to do and how we have to do it. I mean, it's beyond scope at the moment. But, there are specific obligations, no question. But it's not about women just obedient. Definitely women should support their husbands, should help their husbands, reach their potential. But at the same time, if the husband's doing wrong things, he's held accountable. She doesn't just say, okay, spend the money the way you want. Go gamble, go do this, go do that. Right? She's not a yes person, per se. She's there to build him up. She's there to help him reach his potential. If he's doing wrong things, she's got to confront him. I mean, in the right way and whatever. There has to be mutual respect. If you don't have mutual respect, you don't have a relationship. You don't have a relationship. And that's, in today, without going into the whole long discourse, I don't have time, but, today, the marriage is a disaster. It's better for people to live together. Otherwise, they won't get divorced. You got a 50-60% chance of getting divorced. No question. So it's better not to get married in many ways. You're going to say, what, live together and sin? No, for Noah, it's not a problem. For a Jew, okay, there has to be, there has to be sanctification, there has to be marriage, whatever, but, it's a disaster. Why do you think divorce rate's so high in the secular world? Because the people have, unrealistic expectations. Totally unrealistic expectations. As Rav Noah Weinberg of blessed memory, founder of Torah, once said, the difference between difference between love and infatuation. Infatuation doesn't last. Love comes after marriage. Someone asks, I think this is the last question. Pastor just says one must never be embarrassed to fulfill an actual mitzvah. But it says on certain conditions, acts of piety should be avoided. Yeah, in other words, why should it be avoided? Because even if a person does certain things that, let's say, a lot of people don't do, they're going to be ridiculed. They're going to look at it and say, oh, you're so religious, you're doing things that most people don't. Yeah. Everyone told the story, there was someone was getting married. I don't know, certain things by the ceremony wanted to do that nobody does. Nobody does. I don't remember what they were, but nobody does. And he said, and he's like, no. Like, absolutely not. You don't buck the system. You don't do what people aren't doing. And if you do it, if you got to do something that no one else does, do it in private. Do not do it in public. Right? Now, it could be, these are great acts, but yeah, you got to be careful, because even if they are, people could ridicule you. People 100% could ridicule you, even if they're the most righteous acts. So that you have to be careful. Right? That you have to be careful. A person makes, I'll give one example. Let's say a person saying the Shemona Esrei silently. They're making all kinds of gestures and different things and this and that. It's distracting. Totally distracting. Am I doing it for a pious reason, this and that? If you're talking about one of the pious of the generation, okay. Talking about everybody else? No. That's what I would say. I'm going to stop there. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism on YouTube or orthodoxconversion.com. Check out my YouTube channel there. I have Q&As, Book of Leviticus chapter 15, 16, before, Ethics of Our Fathers, Perkei Avos, controversial issues. Anyone has any questions, send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBI, CHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com, whichever